essentially was a sort of rambling, as I say, didactic cataloguing of events since World War II that have led to what he described as cultural Marxist dictatorships in Europe, grown up from a socialist, egalitarian system after World War II in which the victims were given more power at the expense of the cultural conservatives, the majority who were left powerless, and that led to unchecked immigration with foreign groups, minorities moving into countries across the continent and drowning out the ethnic majority, the ethnic and cultural identity of the majority. This is the thesis that Breivik bases his actions on, the idea that there is to be in time a great clash of civilizations, and that he had struck first, the first defensive blow to prevent this war, to prevent the colonization of Europe by Muslims as he sees it.
And Jonah, he hasn't been on the defense much based on what we've been hearing about his opening statement, but he seems to be taking great offense to this idea of being called evil.
Yes, indeed. He takes great offence at the idea of being called evil, great offence at the idea of being called insane. These issues, these notions of evil and insanity came up repeatedly throughout his statement. I think he was very much at various points in it on the defensive. He drew various historical parallels. I'll read one to you to try and dispel this idea of his own evilness. He said, "It is as wrong to call me evil as it is to call the US commanders who dropped the atomic bomb evil. They killed 300,000 people in order to save millions. So if we," he does still believe he's operating in some sort of collective, "if we can force the governments to break down multiculturalism by killing just 70 people, that will preserve our values and prevent war in the future." There is the basis for his defense. You call me evil, I in fact base my actions on goodness, the goodness of the majority.
How difficult a time are the judges having in keeping Breivik's comments linked to his confessed actions?
Well, this was a theme as well of the morning's statement, where they tried, as I say, to rein him in. It has been a subject of much debate before this trial, just how much latitude to give Breivik in being able to stray off the point to not just defend his actions but promote his views and ideas. And it's something that a lot of the survivors and relatives have been very cheery of, and for that reason his testimony and his statement will not be televised over the next 5 days. But even in court here this morning, you could see on the faces of the relatives of the survivors sitting there real pain and anguish at listening to him being able, as I say, to ramble on, to give this exposition of his views and ideas. He got to one point where he really crossed the line and was reined quite severely in when he started talking about the children on the island of Utøya, when he said these were not innocent children. They actively worked as a group to uphold multiculturalism. They were, of course, a youth group associated with the Labour Party government here. The youth wing of the Labour Party, he said, was similar to the Hitler Youth, and Utøya Island he described as an indoctrination camp. And at that point the judge stopped him and said, "You did say at the beginning that you were going to moderate your rhetoric," which he did. "Please do so." And he apologised and said that he would continue. But you could see that the survivors and relatives were deeply uncomfortable.
Jonah, one more for you. I understand the proceedings today were delayed because of some comments from a judge on Facebook causing some controversy?
Yeah, that's true. Just to put it in context, the Norwegian legal system here takes place, well, this kind of a trial anyway, takes place in front of a 5-judge panel. 2 of those judges are professional judges, 3 are lay judges, ordinary people, as it were, a sort of jury. One of those lay judges wrote on the 23rd of July last year, the day after the attacks, on his Facebook page that Breivik should be given the death penalty. Well, quite why that didn't come up until now, nobody knows, but it did come up. It was raised as an objection. The judge trying this case decided, based on the defence and the prosecution's statements, that that particular lay judge should be dismissed, and indeed the case continues. It doesn't affect in any way the continuation of this trial. It will proceed without any further delay.
And Jonah, we're able to talk to you because there's obviously a break in the action. Court proceedings to pick up again shortly?
Lunchtime it is now. In 20 minutes or so they'll be back in court, and that will see the beginning of open testimony. 5 days now scheduled, the rest of this afternoon and 4 more days after this, with Breivik on the stand, taking the stand and facing cross-examination from the prosecution and from the defence. We'll start, I believe, this afternoon with the prosecution's questions.